Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Intelligence Mod Pod. As always, I'm Bobby, and today with me again, I do have Dane as we complete our Warlock Invocations and go through the new 2024 Invocations. Um, Now, I know last time we talked about how you've always liked Warlocks, but you've never really played them. So, do you have a whole lot of experience with the 2024 since they've been out for such a short time?
No, not much experience, although I definitely have read them pretty in depth, and I do like a lot of the changes that they made to these 2024 guideline or invocations, even though they took out some stuff that I'm not too happy about, but we'll get into that as we go through these invocations here.
Yeah. So as always, or not as always, this is kind of a first for us. If you weren't here for 2014 and you want to know more about those, we do have another video that is going to pop up right about here. Um, and I guess we're just going to get right into it. So the way I separated these, Dane, is I started with all of what used to be our pact that we would have to take. So Pack of the Blade, Pack of the Chain, and Pack of the Tome. And I kind of separated those with all of the invocations that kind of build off of those. And then after those three, I do have all of our general invocations after that. Um, so
And
the first one that, oh, go
Uh,
ahead.
I was going to say, and maybe we should kind of start with the fact that in 2024, the packs that you choose from, the Blade, Tome, and Chain, are actually invocations, not, they were like kind of subclass. Well, they're not like
Mhm.
were they subclass specific?
They
Or
were
you got
like
them at level three,
subclass.
like level
Yeah.
three, right? You got to pick which one you
Hmm.
wanted.
I think it
Where
was level 2, but yeah.
yeah. Whereas in 2024, they are just invocations. So you do have the option of actually choosing all three if you really wanted to,
Hmm.
which I think is pretty cool. Um,
I'm a
having
fan.
having like a Pact of the Blade as well as a familiar, like that's a nice little duo that you can have. I like that.
See, you went that way, and I was like, now I can have my Pack of the Chain and my Tome, so I can have more spells than I previously did. Because that, in my opinion, Warlock loves more cantrips, and there's not a whole lot of ways in this game to get more, but lucky for us, the invocations give us access to that. Something else I wanted to talk about that they did do is a lot of our invocations previously would let you use Warlock spells as a Warlock spell only once a day, whereas they've gotten rid of those now. I'm pretty sure almost all of the spell ones give you at least one free use, and then you can use Warlock spells, and you can do it more than once a day. So I think super upgrade. I don't really understand why that was a limitation beforehand,
Yeah.
um,
I
but
think
good
it
for
was
them
just
for listening.
Yeah, I do think it was just like because you saw a lot of those with the higher level spells, like I would say like like second, third level spells, like those are when they had like the one-time use or using your like a spell slot for it. Um
Hmm.
Although I feel like some of them like didn't, but like some like polymorph, right? Like that's a pretty strong spell outside of the class list, so that's kind of why
Hmm.
they let you cast it, but you had to use a spell slot for it.
And you could only do it once a day
Hmm.
until you finished a long rest. You didn't even get that back on a short rest.
Yeah, yeah. Like the whole thing about a warlock is getting them back on short rests.
Hmm. But not these spells. You get nothing. Um, but what they did give us is a lovely little pack of the blade now with these invocations. Um, and so I'm just going to go through kind of what our pack of the blade does for 2024. As a bonus action, you can conjure a packed weapon in your hand. It can be a simple or a martial weapon that you touch, or it can just be something you kind of materialize out of nothing. If someone else is attuned to it, however, if you are touching a magic item, you cannot do it that way, and, and another warlock can't have already created a pack with this blade. So there are a little bit of limitations. You can't hopscotch the weapon back and forth between all of your warlocks if there's a really cool one. You kind of have to just one at a time with that. But once you do, you can use it as a spellcasting focus. And when you make attacks with your bonded weapon, you can use your charisma modifier to for the attack damage and the attack roll instead of using strength or dex. You can cause the weapon to do necrotic, psychic, or radiant damage, or if you want, you can keep it with its normal weapon type. And the bond with the weapon will end only if you use the feature again as a bonus action, or if the weapon is more than 5 feet away from you for more than a minute, or if you die, of course. The conjured weapon does disappear once the bond ends if it was conjured and not one that you just touched. I think this is a solid upgrade because I don't think you got to choose all the necrotic and stuff previously.
I don't know if it just turned it into like a magic weapon generally, and that was it. So
Mm-hmm.
I get like if it's just a magic weapon, it still just has like flashing, but it is a magic weapon, right? So giving it the ability to make it necrotic, psychic, or radiant damage is a great kind of selection. I probably would say psychic or radiant damage is, if you're power gaming it, that's probably the two you should choose from, because necrotic, especially if you're fighting undead or something like that, there's a lot of resistances to that. But I definitely like the ability to, at almost like level 1, have almost like automatic bypass of any kind of resistances for a lot of stuff.
I also really like this because I feel like something that the Warlock does very well is it adds flavor for you. It's, if you're having trouble figuring out kind of the characteristics of what you want, the Warlock can really cover for you in that regard, and I think it does so very well. Like immediately off the bat, if you are trying to be a Warlock that is like kind of a necromancer or on that kind of field, all of your attacks are doing necrotic damage. Say you're planning to take a pact with a celestial, and here you are with your radiant weapon of light. Or you're just, messing with the minds of people and you're cutting right through their physical into their psyche. I think this is great for story building. I think this is great for character building. I really like this. I like it a lot.
And it's has some use for multi-classing into like charisma based, like a paladin for the most part. Keep in mind that this is not the same as like the Hexblade as it was in like 2014. You don't get like the Hexblade subclass, but you do make your weapon a charisma based weapon, which is nice. However, with a paladin, if you're going like the heavy armor route, you still do need strength anyways. So I've kind of found like there is a lot of mitigation of multi-classing up to like those one level dips, right? And I think we talked about that before in the past.
Yeah. I do want to point something out though, with you bringing up multi-classing into charisma base, you don't even have to need to necessarily be a charisma based character because this states that you can use charisma. You could still be a rogue using dex and just cutting through with psychic or radiant damage, which I love. This is, I think, an extremely versatile invocation.
And then, kind of going along with the Pact of the Blade, we have some, I think it's about there's 4 invocations that are tied directly to the Pact of the Blade. So the first one, with the prerequisite being level 5 Warlock, with the Pact of the Blade invocation, is Eldritch Smite. So once per turn, when you hit a creature with your pact weapon, you can expend a pact magic spell slot to deal an extra 1d8 force damage to the target, plus another 1d8 per level of the spell slot. You can give your target the prone condition if it is huge or smaller. And I think that right there is a huge benefit for this, that ability to automatically knock down a target. There is no saving throw associated with this. You just hit them and knock them prone. And at level 5, you're at 3rd level spell slots, I believe, at this point. For the Warlock. So
You are.
So you're dealing what is that? 4d8, I think, or is it 3d8?
4.
Yeah, 4d8 plus an automatic prone condition, which gives you and every melee attacking ally advantage against the hit. And Bobby, you can probably say a lot more to this because you've run many more games than I have. But like, what's a creature that is considered huge that can be knocked down by our gnome warlock of the blade here? Would it be like probably like a troll or something like that? I think that's like a huge creature. No.
So things we're looking at when it comes to huge creatures, are going to be like a cyclops is definitely one. Let me see. I'm gonna look some up real quick just so I don't give the wrong. Let's see. We have things such as a giant constrictor snake, which I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot in my games, a surprising amount of time. If you run into a hydra, you are knocking that hydra prone. I love that for them. And fire giants, elephants, things like this, most giants, you're going to be able to knock over. So if you're running anything to do with giants, if you are running through Storm King's Thunder, this would be a great one because there's giants everywhere and they are not accustomed to being knocked prone.
There's no like your character has to be a certain height or anything like that. So you can have your small character, just love tap these fire giants and down they go.
I love that. Also, I want to point out the force damage because there is very few ways to get around taking force damage. This is the least resisted damage type in the game. So auto-magically, you're knocking people down on the ground. You're doing the least resisted damage type. I mean, I don't think there's anything not to love about this.
Yeah. Probably the only drawback is that you're gonna burn through your packs slots really quick with this because of course as a warlock we only get 2 per, and then they reset on a short rest. So if you do want it to cast, like, you got to be very strategic, is what I'll say. You get a lot of damage out of it, a lot of benefit, and if you need to cast something else though, you only got 1 shot, so it's not as similar to like a paladin smite or anything like that where you got multiple spell slots to use it. You basically only got 2 per short rest and then you're tapped out. And it also does say like packed magic spell slot, so I don't know if that makes it specifically only for your warlock spell slots, like if you were to multi-class in any way.
This is specifically only for your warlock spell slots because this is not a spell, this is a feature. So unfortunately you're not going to be able to cross class into like wizard or sorcerer or something to get those extra spell slots and then think you're going to still be eldritch smiting a lot. This is only for your pack magic. Unfortunately, that is probably the only drawback, but I mean, realistically, if you're cross-classing into one of those other classes, you might be able to get your hands on one of the other smites through some kind of means. Say you're playing a tiefling. I think it's level 5. One of the tieflings gets a searing smite, I believe.
Could be like wrathful, maybe. I don't know.
One of the smites I know tieflings get, and so you could still have that with extra spell slots, but I mean, it's not going to be nearly as good as this Eldritch Smite is. So I would say just rush the Warlock spell slots to get more of those than cross-classing if playing as like an Eldritch sword slinger is your goal.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you're doing Pack of the Blade, it probably is.
Yeah, and going along with this, so this is the next prerequisite level 5 Pact of the Blade invocation, which when you hit this level, you're probably picking up both of these at the same time, which is the Thirsting Blade. So you're going to pick up the Eldritch Smite invocation and very likely the Thirsting Blade, which gives you that extra attack feature with your packed weapon only, which basically allows you to take the extra attack when you make the attack action. So once again, another great way to increase the damage. So Eldritch Smite, knock them down, and then you have advantage on your next attack against that prone creature.
After that, once we make our way up to level 9 as a warlock with the Pack of the Blade invocation, we're going to grab Life Drinker if you so choose. I think this is a really interesting one because Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your packed weapon, you can deal an extra 1d6 necrotic, psychic, or radiant damage of your choice to the creature, and you can expend one of your hit point die to roll it and regain a number of hit points equal to the rolled number plus your constitution modifier, minimum of 1. There are very few options in 5e to heal outside of like straight up healing spells, you know? So as a warlock, unless you went celestial, you aren't really going to have access to being able to heal yourself. But this gives you a little bit extra leeway in not just dying because you're a squishy caster standing up there next to the barbarians and the warriors. I think this is better than, in my opinion, than Second Wind, because if you need to, you can do it multiple times.
Yeah, there's
By
no
ninth level, you have 9 of these die.
Yeah, and there's no restrictions on it. And it's only one hit die as well. So
Yes.
and probably for most warlocks, just thinking about how you would build them out, like probably mostly have like a +2 to your con, maybe on the top end, unless you're playing a very specific kind of build or something like that. But probably at least like a +2, and I think their hit die is a D8, I believe. Is it a D8? I think it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Which still good.
Yeah.
Still decent healing.
And it's hit points when you hit something as well. So
yeah,
like you said, there's very few ways of gaining hit points back in battle, let alone it not costing you a bonus action or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of
and you're doing an extra D6. And odds are, if you're in for a penny, go in for a pound. Add your Eldritch Smite onto that hit. You're doing an extra D6 plus by level 9. What is that? That's level 5 spell slots. So that's gonna be 6 plus the D6 plus your attack damage with your charisma modifier if you're going that route.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing a pretty sufficient amount of damage while also healing yourself at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good mix, that's for sure. And keep in
I'm
mind,
into it. I like it.
And keep in mind, like with the Pact of the Blade, the warlock can use something like a great sword or a big axe or something like that, because the Pact of the Blade you become proficient with that weapon, so you can use any weapon possible. And I think we can also use ranged weapons, right? As pact weapons. Can we use range weapons?
I believe it's only
melee.
It is only melee in 2024. We don't have an invocation to give us range. Talk to your DMs though. I always let my players pick ranged weapons if they so choose. Generally though, if they do pick that, I will keep them to only ranged weapons for their pact weapon. But there's always a trade-off. Talk to your DMs. Anything is possible in Dungeons and Dragons because it specifically states in the DM rulebook that we make the rules. So after that, we are going to grab Devouring Blade. This is going to be at a whopping 12th level, and you actually have to have Thirsting Blade, not just your Pack of the Blade. So you have to have Thirsting Blade for this. And the extra attack of your Thirsting Blade invocation converts to 2 extra attacks rather than just 1. So now at level 12, you are getting to attack 3 times instead of just that twice. Excellent. I love this. I think it's great. I do want to point out, though, I've seen a lot of warlocks that take things like this and they want to use spells like Green Flame Blade or Booming Blade. And while that's a great option until level 5, once you hit level 5 and you have the extra attack, Green Flame Blade does not contribute to the extra attack. It is a magic action, not an attack action. So that is something to consider when deciding if you want the flavor of throwing fire as you attack or if you want the extra attacks. Both of them viable. And that's very much up to you. And if you decide to go more Booming Blade and Green Flame Blade, it does free up quite a few extra invocations for you. But you are going to be missing out on those extra attacks.
And that's pretty much all of the stuff with the Pact of the Blade. So now we're going to go down to our Pact of the Chain, where you
Oof.
learn the Find Familiar spell and can cast it as a magic action without expending a spell slot. So that's like not a ritual spell, right? It's just insta cast of Find Familiar, like not even needing a
Yeah.
ritual spell. Um,
Yeah, I believe so. I think you can cast it as a ritual if you so choose,
mhm.
but yeah, you can because it says as a magic action.
Yeah. And when you cast the spell, you choose one of the normal forms for your familiar, or one of the following special forms. And they've added quite a few extra into this list here. So we have our, our imp, our pseudo dragon, quasit. What was the other one that was in the original ones? Sprite. So sprites in there as
Sprite.
well. But now they added a skeleton, a slad tadpole, the Sphinx of Wonder, and of course, a venomous snake. And additionally, when you take the attack action, you can forego one of your own attacks to allow your familiar to make one attack of its own with its reaction. So in our campaign, Beyond Rising, Bobby,
Mhm.
why don't you tell them a little bit about little Eden there?
Listen, if I had a signature spell in Dungeons and Dragons, it would be Find Familiar. That is my favorite spell. I am dangerous with it. And yeah, these new forms are so strong. I mean, I like Eden is my Sphinx of Wonder, who in our game is flavored more as just a Tressum, but starting out with just 25 health. Usually with familiars, we're used to having like a maximum of 7. And then we're jumping in here with an absolute unit of kind of an early game tank almost. Because, I got this. I could have, had I just gone straight Warlock, got this at level 1. And, level 1, having something with 25 health, that's tankier than your tank. You have a built in proxy tank for you. But with it, some of these, I'm just going to speak about the Sphinx of Wonder because that's what I have personal experience with. It starts with magic resistance, so it has advantage on all saving throws against spells or other magical effects. Um, its rend attack is a +5 to hit. It does 1d4 +3 slashing damage plus 2d6 radiant damage, which again for a familiar is absolutely crazy to be busting out. I think I average like 12 damage with this thing per turn that I attack with Eden, and most of it's radiant. And we also, all of them have these cool little reactions. So for our Sphinx of Wonder, we have Burst of Ingenuity that I can use twice a day. And any creature that makes a d20 ability check or saving throw within 30 feet, I can just add a straight 2 to the roll.
Just a straight 2. No dice
Just,
required.
boom. No roll, bam, you get 2. Um, and like all of them are just so good like that. I will be honest, I think when I looked over them originally, Sphinx of Wonder is a bit stronger than all the other ones. That's not
Yeah.
why I picked it. Um, but they are just so good. Pack of the Chain has really turned it up for 2024, and whereas before it was like a cute little gimmicky thing you could do with your familiars, now it is a full-on kind of build. You can really build around this Pack of the Chain and make it insanely powerful.
Yeah, and going into the build of Chainmaster here, we have Investment of the Chainmaster, a little bit reworked from the 2014 edition. Of course, for this one though, you do need the prerequisite of being level 5. So it will take a little bit of time to get your familiar kind of a little bit extra strong. But you can infuse your Find Familiar with a little bit of extra Eldritch power, granting the creature the following benefits. So, all of these benefits. The familiar gains either a fly speed or a swim speed of your choice of 40 feet. Everyone's taking fly for the most part. You get your quick attack, which is as a bonus action, you can command the familiar to take the attack action. So no longer needing to forego your own attack action. Instead, it is now using your bonus action to command your familiar to attack. whenever the familiar deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, you can now make it necrotic or radiant damage instead. Once again, a great way to bypass resistances. This is another really, really big one. Is if the familiar forces a creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC, which might be around like 14, maybe 15 if you rolled really high for your stats or something like that. So, a lot of these creatures have abilities and attacks that force creatures to make saving throws. Like the imp has like a poison, pseudo dragon has like a trip attack or something like that. So another great one. And then when the familiar takes damage, you can take a reaction to grant it resistance against that damage. So as a warlock, probably outside of Hellish Rebuke, maybe there's not too many like reaction abilities that you use, and you're also probably in the back lines at this point. So having your little frontline tank have resistance against the damage is quite great, right? Makes your little Sphinx a little bit more tanky.
Yeah, I will say by this point, by level 5, you're probably not using your pet as a tank anymore because we've probably eclipsed 25. I mean, for you, he's still, standing in between you and that attack. But yeah, I think this is great. I wish I had more use of it because I will be honest, if you are taking Speaks of Wonder, I really don't know if you need this. I'm just going to be completely honest with you because we already have a flight speed, so the first part is checked. For me specifically, I don't need it to be a bonus action because I have so many summons. I have Huthamer as my wildfire familiar that uses bonus action, so I need Eden on my action. So automatically, I don't really need quick attack. Necrotic and radiant damage resistance, it comes built in with necrotic, radiant, and psychic resistance. So we don't need that. I don't have any saving throws with the Sphinx of Wonder, so I don't need that. The only thing is if it takes bludgeoning damage using the resistance, but all of the other ones, this is great. I would say, if you have the Imp, now you have Fire, Radiant, and Necrotic resistance, which I think is such a great trifecta. There's going to be not a whole lot doing damage to your Imp. But yeah, I think it's really good. I think for most people, this will be a great way to go unless you're doing janky cross-classing stuff like I do.
It's really funny that the Sphinx is quite literally like hands down probably the best out of all of these options. Like the only one that has like comparable things to it, I would say, is like the Quasit has at least 25 hit points. The Imp is around 21, but like some of these newer ones, like what's it called, like the Slab Tadpole, that's only got 7 HP. The Venomous Snake's 5 HP. The Skeleton 13 HP. So these things are going down pretty quick, but the Skeleton can be like right beside you just shooting arrows or something because they get ranged attacks.
Yeah, and I mean, I think whenever you're taking Pack of the Chain and you're really looking at what familiar you need for your character, I needed a frontline wall to protect me, so I went with Sphinx of Wonder because it's kind of tanky. I wanted something celestial. But if you look at like the sprite, it's got lower health. It has a decent AC of 15, but it also can cast invisibility on itself pretty much at will along with the Imp also doing that. It's got quite a bit of great attacks that charm. So you're adding extra effects onto people. So, I mean, I definitely think for me, the Sphinx was easily the top contender, but there can be an argument made for pretty much all of them, especially because there is no limitations on Pack of the Chain on only being able to cast it once. So if your familiar goes down, you just can use your action next turn to bring it back.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet. And
yeah,
I'm looking at the Quasit. The Quasit's got a lot. I think they really beefed him up quite a bit. Wow.
And then you look at like Venomous Snake, and it's like
It bites
1d4 plus 2 piercing, 1d6 poison damage, and that's it with 5 health. I don't understand the kind of vast power differences between a lot of these. Because again, I do think there's like 3 of them that are vastly more powerful than the others, and then there's like 2 or 3 that are kind of in the middle, and then then we've got venomous snake that's not really doing
Yeah,
anything.
like just take an owl if you're doing that. Like
100% take the owl. Like the tadpole, I don't understand.
and this one's even worse than the venomous snake.
Hold on. Oh, okay, I get it. I don't know if that's real. I need to do some research because looking at the salad tadpole, um, it says that under most conditions it transforms into a blue or green salad
So unless you can
if
like,
the host is able to cast a spell of 3rd level or higher.
okay, so
And those are like 100 health
oh
creatures. I don't know if that's real for this.
yeah, I don't
This
think
is
that's what was intended. I don't think.
not what's intended, what is written.
Well,
The rules lawyer in me wants to do a deep delve into this tadpole.
'cause that's
Because
like
this seems.
that's like summon like greater fiend kind of strength there.
This is crazy. There's no way this is
That's not
what
what
they had
I
planned.
think they just intended just
But
for it to be the
again,
tadpole.
this is where rules lawyers come in, and this is where you have the debate of rules as intended versus rules as written.
The tadpole gets put into somebody that can cast level 3 or higher. That's how it's
Oh,
read.
okay, thank God, because I was terrified. I was like, my players are about to come at me with this.
Yeah, so it looks
I
like
mean,
under most so it's under most conditions a slad tadpole transforms into a blue or green one if its host was able to cast level 3 or higher. So I think they're implanted into living hosts. So this is like the lore behind it, I think. Versus being able to have this in your back pocket.
players, if you beat an enemy spellcaster, knock them out and implant this bitch. Mess your DMs up. I want to know what they do. Leave us some comments when you do it. What would you do if your player did that?
A green slad is a CR8 creature. My God, and it has spell casting and all this stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah. This is great. I would let it happen. I'm gonna be real with you. If this happened in my game, I would let this happen because
If
I
I
think it
didn't
would be
know about
hilarious.
it, if I did not know about it, and they pulled this on me, and then they're like, "Well, look at the lore behind it. It works out." I'd be like, "Oh no, this is no." I have to burn every corpse of this magic casters that I get.
Every single magic caster. I mean, to be fair though, the find familiar spell is spirits that take the form of an animal you choose. So I guess technically the argument could be made that it's not actually a slad tadpole.
So you just lose
I
control
don't
of
give a
it.
shit.
I feel like that's what
I'm
I would
just
do.
gonna. Oh, ooh, that would be cool.
Like you try
That would be
to,
cool. Maybe
it's
like have them make like Arcana checks or something to try to maintain control.
it's like trying to hatch a xenomorph alien out of the little face hugger. It's like it's not going to work out for you in the long run.
No. Yeah.
So
So find familiar, find workarounds, ruin your DM's entire existence with it. That's what I do. Um,
if there's
try to
one
make a
spell,
green slad. Do it.
if there's
Just
one
do it.
if there's one spell that can ruin your DM's plans, it's definitely find familiar.
Make it your signature spell. If you're not good with it, just get good with it because it's so good. It's infiltration, it's spell casting, it's everything. It does it all. But much like doing it all, sometimes as a warlock you can feel like you don't have enough spells. And that's where our next invocation, the Pack of the Tome, comes in. With this, you are going to get a Book of Shadows. You can determine its appearance. If you're like a celestial warlock, feel free to call it something other than Book of Shadows. That is totally okay. And with this, you are going to get an additional 3 cantrips and choose an additional 2 first level spells that have the ritual tag in them. The spells can be from any class list, and they do not have to be chosen from the same spell list. So take a little bit here, take a little bit here, piece together everything that you want with this. And they must be spells that you don't already have prepared. While the book is in your on your person, you have the chosen spells prepared, and they function as warlock spells for you. So they are going to be using that charisma modifier, and you can use this book as a spellcasting focus. So you don't need to have book and like some kind of staff or something. You can go to just straight book, and you're good to go.
The ritual spells are very beneficial. I think, was it in 2014 warlocks technically were not ritual casters outside of getting Pact of the Tome, I think.
Yeah, they had Pack of the Tome, and I feel like there was another invocation that gave them, or no, it was a feat. I'm thinking of a feat, Ritual Caster.
Ritual Caster, yeah. I know they had, so really with Pact of the Tome, they took out a lot of the invocations that were in 2014. They really only have one invocation for Pact of the Tome, which is Gift of the Protectors, which is at level 9. So, you just got Pact of the Tome, you got your extra cantrips, and you got your 2 ritual spells. But with Gift of the Protectors, a new page appears in your Book of Shadows when you conjure it. With your permission, a creature can take an action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your charisma modifier, minimum 1 name. When any creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points but is not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. And as a magic action, you can erase the name on the page by touching it. So this is kind of like a blanket group death ward until it's activated, and then no one else can get death ward until you have a long rest.
This is what you use when one of the other players keeps stealing all your stuff. You send them into a dangerous situation, and then you use your magic action to erase their name without them knowing it.
It's like a perfect lesson learned right there.
That rogue that won't stop stealing from your bag while your character's sleeping, this is how you get them. Overall, though, I like this. I think this is good. I think level 9 is a little late, though. I feel like this should have definitely been up there with like the level 5 ones.
Yeah, 5, maybe even like 7, I guess, possibly. Like,
yeah,
like people, like
only one person gets it.
Like what's it, like the orcs get this as like a species feature, right? Or do they get that anymore? Where they just drop down and go back to 1 hit point. I'm not sure, but
oh my god, do they still get it? I don't remember.
As Bobby looks that up, they did remove a lot of the other feat, like the other invocations that were tied to the Pact of the Tome. Like Aspect of the Moon, of course, that one had to go, right? Like that was
had to go.
That was the coffee lock broken symbol that you needed that to make it really work. I don't like I feel like they could have kept like the Far Scribe, which lets you cast
that one was cool.
Yeah, they should have kept that one. Like that one's kind of weird that they took that one out. Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of weird, I guess. But I don't think I feel like they also took out the ability to add additional ritual spells to your book. So you're kind of only stuck with the 2 that you start off with.
As a DM, and to all my other DMs, I would still let my players add additional rituals. I'm just going to be honest. I think it was stupid to take that from them. Warlocks already are at such a deficit when it comes to casting. I would still allow it. If you're playing this, talk to your DM. I'm sure most of them will allow it. But yeah, I still, even with that, think Pack of the Tome is great. Almost as great as our Pack of the Talisman, which did not make it. So I'm shocked that Pack of the Talisman did not make it into 2024.
Unless they're reworking it with like Unearthed Arcana or something like that. Like I don't know
really
why it's
hope
not in there.
Because I mean, I get it was weak. It was not nearly as strong as the others, but now I can pick multiple. So let me have my weak little talisman.
Yeah, and just scale it up if you have to. Make it instead it was like a D4, a D6,
2D4,
level 5, or 2D4. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for a gimmick. I will take weaker options for a gimmick, and Pack of the Talisman was such a gimmick that I'm genuinely upset that it didn't make it into 2024 because everyone hated it and everyone would groan when I would show up to the table and I had another freaking talisman in my hand.
It's like, oh god, not another talisman, Warlock.
Ugh.
So those are our packed invocations there. Once again, selectable just with your choice of invocations. It's not like a subclass, subclass kind of base thing. But now we're going to get into our more general invocations. And one thing that you'll probably hear us say is that some of these invocations are repeatable, which was not the case in 2014. And Bobby, I'll let you start us off with the first one there.
Yeah, first thing, these are going to be going in alphabetical order, just like we did in 2014. So if you are following along with us in the book, that is the order we're going to be going in. So the first one we're going to look at is Agonizing Blast. You do have to be level 2 as a Warlock with this, and you have to have a Warlock cantrip that deals damage. I do want to point out that it no longer has to be Eldritch Blast. So you choose one of your known Warlock cantrip that deals damage, and you can add your Charisma modifier to that spell's damage rolls. This is repeatable, and you can pick it more than once and choose different cantrips each time. I adore this. I really like it. I love that it's not just Eldritch Blast anymore, because we had so many memes of just, making fun of Warlocks because all they did was shout out Eldritch Blast over and over. And if you're a Pack of the Tome and you just picked up 3 extra spells from other places, you in fact can be doing more damage than a bard with your Vicious Mockery, because it's now Agonizing Mockery, I guess is what you would call it. I adore this.
Yeah, it's great, and it can make for some very good combinations, as you'll see in as we go through these other invocations. Stuff like Chill Touch, or is it Chill Touch, stuff like that, or I don't know. There's a whole bunch that will like slow down people, all this kind of stuff. And they stack with some of these future invocations that we'll read off here. But continuing down the list, we have Armor of Shadows. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself without expending a spell slot. Not a bad one to have.
I think this is great. This is because I don't think Warlocks are going to be using a whole lot of armor. So if you are getting up in the fray as a Pack of the Blade, this is excellent for you. And even if you didn't take any of the packs, you should, but you don't have to. I think this one is probably a top contender for early game. Warlocks everywhere should be picking this because, I mean, it's free 8 armor class. Why wouldn't you? After that, we have Ascended Step, which requires you to be level 5 in Warlock, and you can cast Levitate on your spell without expending a spell slot. Just like previously in 2014, I don't think anyone should take this.
Yeah, and it's on yourself. It's on yourself, right? So it's different if it was like able to target somebody else, but it's just on yourself. So not that useful. You're level 5, right? So you can cast Fly at level 3, I'm pretty sure. So I mean, yeah, you can get the slow elevator ride to just go up slowly without a spell
20
slot.
feet.
20 feet, but yeah, it's kind of a waste of an invocation if you chose it. But maybe people have really great ideas for it. I don't know.
I don't like it.
So our next one is Devil Sight. This is a prerequisite. You have to be at least level 2, which I think is when you initially pick the invocations anyways.
No.
Is it level 1?
No, you get them at level 1. You get 1 at level 1, and then it boosts up to 3 at level 2.
Okay, gotcha. So you can normally see in dim light and darkness, both magical and non-magical, within 120 feet of yourself. That the magical and non-magical is newly added into it, because I think it was just magical before. Like
no, it was always you could see just in the dark, because this is how humans get around not
having dark vision.
Yeah, not having dark vision. This is great to
give you dark vision
to like get around. Sorry, I was going back to the 2014 to look at it. Yeah, you can see in normal darkness both magical and non-magical at presence of 120. I often say that to me, warlocks feel like taking your character and looking at all their flaws, and then the list of invocations is all these cool ways to fix your flaws. So if you are one of those characters that doesn't have dark vision, this right here. And with that, you are in normal darkness, you are on par with like Drow, who can see 120 feet, so you can look at all the elves and kind of give them the bird. And then you can also see in magical darkness. So then you even have a leg up on the Drow, who have the superior dark vision because yours is even more superior.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's like Devil's Sight is really the only way to see through magical darkness, right? Is there? I know, like
I
stuff
believe
like
so. There might be a spell somewhere down the line that lets you do it, but it's not coming to me off the top of
yeah,
my head.
I don't know, maybe stuff like True Sight or Blind Sight, but you have to be like within certain feet of
Well,
them. Like you can't just
blind
see through
sight
it.
is only ever like 10 feet.
Yeah,
So, like, around you. So, I mean, kind of, but not quite.
yeah.
After that, we do have Eldritch Mind, which gives you advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain concentration. If you are cross-classing like myself and you rely on summoning creatures that can be taken out by you losing your concentration, this is a lifesaver. I am proud that I have never in our campaign lost concentration on a spell. And I want to give a big thanks to Eldritch Mind for that because having an advantage is so delicious. If you are relying on concentration spells, this is a must. Especially if you're pure warlock, because you only have so many spell slots. Losing a concentration spell can really hurt your economy.
So our next one here is Eldritch Spear. So prerequisite is a level 2 warlock, and you need to have a warlock cantrip that deals damage. So choose one of your known warlock cantrips that deals damage and has a range of plus 10 feet. When you cast this spell, its range increases by a number of feet equal to 30 times your warlock level. And this is one of those repeatable ones. So you can choose it multiple times and apply it to various different cantrips.
I'm a fan. I don't think this one is like as quintessential as some of the other ones, but I think, if you're going for the starting of the 600-foot Eldritch Blast, this is where you're gonna start. If you are Pack of the Tome, any spell,
yeah,
realistically, as long as it's at least 10 feet, so it can't be one of the touch spells.
Yeah,
unfortunately. After that, we do have Fiendish Vigor, which you have to be at least level 2. You can cast False Life on yourself without expending a spell slot. And when you do cast it, you don't roll for your temporary hit points. You just automatically take the highest die roll. But I believe... Oh, no. It used to be you cast it at first level. But now there is not a level requirement, so it's going to get stronger with you. I'm a fan of that change. I really like that.
So I guess it just matches with what your spell slot
Spell
progression
slots,
is?
yeah.
Okay, man, that's
I
pretty
guess.
Because it starts with 2d4 plus 4, so that's 12 temporary hit points right off the bat.
I mean, that's how I'm reading it. Talk to your DM. Verify with them because they will have final say on this.
You just gain an additional 5 temporary hit points for each spell level progression. So it goes from 12 to 17, 22, 27. So it can add up pretty quick. That's a lot of hit points there.
And again, this is at will. So, I mean, you take lots of damage, pop it back up next turn. Good to go.
Our next one is Gaze of Two Minds, and this requires a level 5 warlock to be able to pick this one up. You can use a bonus action to touch a willing creature and perceive through its senses until the end of your next turn. As long as the creature is on the same plane of existence as you, you can take a bonus action on subsequent turns to maintain this connection, extending the duration until the end of your next turn. This connection ends if you don't maintain it this way. While perceiving through the creature's senses, you benefit from any special senses possessed by that creature, and you can cast spells as if you were in your space or the other creature's space if the two of you are within 60 feet of each other. Is this what the Find Familiar does? Doesn't it already kind of do something like that?
Yeah, but I guess now if you didn't take if you didn't take Devil Sight, you can touch your drow friend in the dark, and now you can see through their senses, I guess. This is niche. This is
Yeah.
hyper niche. I feel like if you have another warlock that can see through magical darkness and you can't, this is a good way to kind of, throw darkness spell down and then both of you start blasting into that darkness, but it's
So
not it for me. It's too niche. I don't think it's going to come up enough to be worth one of your
he-
invocations.
here's a scenario I just thought up that maybe could be a benefit. You're in a prison cell or something like that, and your rogue is able to sneak out. They have to be within 60 feet of you, but you could cast, a suggestion spell through your rogue or something like that to tell the
Mm.
guard to let you out, but you have to be within 60 feet of each other. So that could be the caveat. But those spells that require like line of sight or something like that, you're just using your partner there to cast the spell through. So that could be a use of it. But once again, pretty niche if it's gonna
I've been
happen.
convinced. I like it now, but only for extremely niche situations. It doesn't take much to convince me. You give me a fun situation and I'm in. I would totally enjoy playing that out. That sounded a lot of fun to me. Uh, would I take it? Probably not, though. But
No.
would I be in a prison cell wishing I had it in that extremely specific and niche situation? Maybe.
Yeah.
Or I would just, put my familiar on their shoulder and then still get to do everything anyway.
Right. Yeah. Slip the creature in its pocket, and there you go. You're good.
After that, we are going to be looking at Gift of the Depths. You do have to be level 5 for this, and you can breathe underwater, and you gain a swim speed equal to your speed. You can also cast water breathing once without expending a spell slot. You regain the ability to cast it this way when you finish a long rest. Water breathing affects 10 people. So one cast of it is really all you need.
I
I
mean,
think if you're doing a water-based game, quintessential.
yeah,
Take it.
that's what I was about to say. Like if you are with that, like if you are in that nautical type environment, this is like an easy pickup. Probably not so useful otherwise, to be quite honest.
That's fact. If you are in the middle of a desert and you take this, odds are your fellow players are going to think that you're just like trolling them really hard.
All right. Next one is Lessons of the First Ones. This is a really interesting invocation. I really like this one. So it's a prerequisite of level 2 for your Warlock, and you have received knowledge from an elder entity of the multiverse, allowing you to gain one origin feat of your choice, and this is also a repeatable one. So for those that don't know, 2024, basically everyone's background comes with an origin feat. And also definitely talk to your DM about making custom ones, because I actually don't think that that's in the Dungeon Master's Guide or Player's Handbook about custom backgrounds. But the origin feats are really, really good.
Mhm.
Stuff like Magic Initiate, to pick up a cantrip and a first level spell slot, or Tough, or Alert, or Entertainer, Skilled, lots of great origin feats to pick from. Tavern Brawler, another great one there. An invocation that is a stand in for a feat, which is pretty great.
This is my favorite of all of the new invocations. I know I was for a while building a warlock to be like a crafter, and this, you can just take skilled, you can take crafter, you can take all these different origin features that open so much up to you immediately. And again, you can take it as many times as you want, so you can have so many origin features. I am in love with this. I think this is the hands down best invocation of 2024. I mean, that might not strictly be true, but I like it is. For early game, at least, it is the best. Until we get to, like Witchlight later.
Next up, we have the Mask of Many Faces. That needing to be a prerequisite level 2 Warlock. You can cast Disguise Stealth without expending a spell slot. Great way to get into places. Good spell.
Yeah. Once you hit level 5, though, I do recommend you trade out your Mask of Many Faces into Master of Myriad Forms, where you can, instead of just having the illusion of looking different, you can cast Alter Self without expending a spell slot and actually become different. I will say that the caveat for this is that you are going to have to produce your own clothes if you are using Myriad of Forms, because Alter Self only alters your physical appearance. So make sure you have someone that is adept with like a weaver's tools or disguise kit just to kind of finish the look. But you're not going to have to worry about someone bumping into you and realizing that that's not you. That's fake. Or, keep both of them and alter self on your skin, disguise self your clothes. Good to go. After that, we have Misty Visions. This only requires level 2, and you can cast Silent Image without expending a spell slot. I, in particular, love Silent Image. I've played a Warlock mixed with a Trickery Cleric that used pretty much all illusions and deception. And this was quintessential in making people believe that I was who they thought I was, because I could then create my actual self somewhere in the distance so that they knew, oh, he's over there, so I ain't got to worry about this. Misty Visions is great if you are an infiltration character or you're looking to just be that kind of illusionist.
Our next two here, we have One with Shadows, a prerequisite of level 5 as your Warlock. And while you're in an area of dim light or darkness, you can cast invisibility on yourself without expending a spell slot. So,
excellent.
Great one to have. You can cast that darkness spell, right? Go inside of it, go invisible, and then like run out of the darkness and be invisible. Or even just hiding in somewhere with dim light, just kind of free invisibility. I think that's like Gloomstalker, right? Like the Gloomstalker Ranger had something like that.
Something like that, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So kind of along the lines of your infiltration type of Warlock, this would be a great one. Our next one is Otherworldly Leap. So level 2 Warlock, you can cast Jump on yourself without expending a spell slot. Sure. If you really want that, go ahead.
I don't get this one. I mean, again, super, super, super niche, but honestly, if you've looked at our selection so far and you didn't like any of them, I guess you could take it, but there's so many better options than Otherworldly Leap. One of which being Repelling Blast. The prerequisite for this is level 2 and a cantrip that does damage via an attack roll. I think this is the first one I've seen that actually has the attack roll caveat instead of just does damage.
Yeah.
So you choose one of your known Warlock cantrips that requires an attack roll. When you hit a larger or smaller creature with the cantrip, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from you. You can repeat this and take put it on different spells each time you do. I like this one. I'm into it. I'm a fan.
This is where I
Ray
was
of
going to
Frost.
say. Yep, that was it. Ray of Frost. I mixed up with Chill and Touch, but Ray of Frost slow them down and push them back. So they're not going to reach you, basically.
Yeah, essentially you've stolen 20 feet from them at that point.
And then we got our last two, Bobby. So let's go with the Vision of Distant Realms. So a level 9 Warlock you need to be for the prerequisite, and you can cast Arcane Eye without expending a spell slot.
Adore this. I don't really focus as heavily on what's going to be good in combat. I think about, how can I do janky stuff? And I absolutely love Arcane Eye. I think it's so good for information gathering. I think this, for me personally as a player, is in my top 5 in terms of invocations I would take.
And do you like this better than your familiar?
I do, because I'm going to have both, which means I can watch 2 different places at once. Yeah, I am a fan of keeping my party out of danger. And spells like this kind of make it to where I don't need the rogue to sneak into the castle and do stuff that could get them killed. I can just pop a little Arcane Eye in there and we're good to go. But after that, we get to probably my front runner for my 2 favorites is Witch Sight. You have to manage to get up to be a level 15 Warlock before you can take this. But you do have True Sight. This is, I believe, one of the only ways to get True Sight as a player character. And that means you can see through normal and magical darkness. You can see invisible creatures. You can automatically succeed on all saving throws for illusions. You can see anything that's been transformed by magic, so alter self or any of those spells. And you can also see into the ethereal plane. I'm so into this. If you are in a game where you're dealing with like doppelgangers or things that keep infiltrating you, this is a must. Again, I really like this. I think this really gives a powerful feeling to you as a player. To just, I see everything.
I agree. Yeah, like you said, it's just a shame it's until level 15, but you know, it's a really strong.
It makes sense.
It's a really strong ability to have.
So out of this list, if you had to pick a top 3, Dane, what would you pick?
Ooh, okay. Well, that's a toughie there. I guess I'd kind of say if I was picking a pact, I mean, honestly, like it really just depends on what I'm playing. But I like Pact of the Tome for the cantrip, the extra cantrips and things like that. But I would also probably pair it with Pact of the Chain. So I'd probably have those two packs. I would probably take like Investment of the Chain Master, you know. But if we're going like those are like the packed ones, if I had to choose more like the general ones, Eldritch Mind for sure, just a really great one to have. Probably like lessons of the first ones, like you said, just great one to pick up.
Like 17 times.
Yeah, exactly. Just grab
all of those features.
If we're going heavy cantrip based stuff, you know, Agonizing Blast just for extra damage. And then if I'm just being really annoying, then the Repelling Blast and Ray of Frost combo would be a pretty nice one to have.
Of course. I think my top 3 have to be Pack of the Chain because, again, Find Familiar is my signature spell. I physically take psychic damage not having a familiar. When I am alone in D&D, I am awful. I think Devil Sight, turning it into Witch Sight whenever we get to that point, is definitely in my top 3. And for my last one, it would probably be Lessons of the First. I do want to give an honorable mention, though, to Mask of Many Faces and Master of Myriad Forms, because depending on what I'm building, I love a deceptive character. I don't know if I've told y'all this before. I love it. I think deceptive characters are so much fun. I think they're fun to watch. I think they're fun to learn. So for me, that's the way to go.
Beautiful. And that's all of the invocations. We finally did it.
We did it. So I believe we're going to take a break for a little bit. And when we come back, we are finally going to get into talking about subclasses. I think that's what I've been most excited about because so much of subclasses is flavor. And just the cool things you can do reflavoring your character and really just making it what you want. So I'm super excited as we move forward.
Yep, I can't wait to dive into those.
Until next time, if you would like to see both myself and Melanie play as our warlocks using quite a few of these invocations every Monday at 7 p.m. That's incorrect. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We are over on our Twitch, which we will have the link below to in our description. And you can come hang out with us and see us do Warlock things in very different ways. And we look forward to seeing you once we come back with some subclasses. But until next time, may all of your intelligence checks be successful.